before I get into the game, really happy for Marcus Howard. He was able to be at practice yesterday and spend some time around the guys. Just a consummate, high character person, an unbelievable representative of Marquette basketball. So very, very happy for him, and it's really good to see how meaningful this place is to him. We obviously lost the game in the second half of the first half. I thought it had been quite a while for us since our guys have kind of had that deer in headlights look, but they had it there for a stretch. I thought actually we defended for the most part pretty well in the first half, but not good enough if we're scoring 14 points, obviously. Guys got away from trusting what we do, the spacing. DePaul did a really good job in their loads, taking away some drives. And, the open shots we did get, we didn't make, and we missed some finishes around the basket. So thought the guys did a good job adjusting at halftime, just playing with a lot more aggressiveness. But, when you fight to come back the way we did in the first 3 minutes of the second half, that takes a lot of energy, and then you have to sustain that over the course of the whole half. And we weren't able to do that.
Yeah, that 21-1 run at the end of the first half. I mean, did you feel like it was the frustrations on the offensive end that were bleeding over to the defensive end, or what do you think exactly?
Somewhat. I mean, it's mostly offense, Ben, but there was definitely some breakdowns. And, I mean, they were pretty much doing simple stuff on their offensive end, guard to guard, ball screens to get a matchup, and then running their five-man up. Again, I thought we did a lot of good things defensively in the first half. Obviously not enough when you're when you struggle that much on the offensive end. But yeah, there was definitely some, because I think overall what you kind of saw from our guys during that stretch is just this is it. And again, I think our guys have done a great job of late, fighting that off. And that's a team thing, for us. It's not one individual, but we definitely need, various guys to kind of step forward and say, we're not getting down about this. We're going to trust what we do. We got away from our spacing on the defensive end, and that played into DePaul's hands the way they were helping. And then we lost some confidence in terms of attacking closeouts. There was times where the ball came to us, and we didn't make a decision. We didn't drive. We didn't shoot. We just held it, and then they were able to adjust.
You go on that 9-0 run coming out in the second half. What was the biggest thing you made, that adjustment coming out?
Just aggressiveness, just trying to attack more. Told those guys, like, it's, we have a saying, in the absence of confidence, fight, and I thought the guys did a better job of that coming out of halftime. But, again, it takes incredible energy to do that. Teams are going to respond, so they called timeout. And then they were able to push the lead back up to, 15, 16. And then, we kept fighting, got it back down to single digits. I thought guys cut the lead to 3 going into the last round of the game. Thought we were in pretty good position, all things considered. But, they outplayed us in the last round of the game. We didn't get enough stops. They went to Benson in the post. He scored a couple times. We missed some layups. We missed some shots we'd love to have back. But it's disappointing because our guys fought so hard to get us back in that position to win, but didn't play well enough down the stretch.
When you're 11 from 22 from the free throw line, how killer is that in a game like this?
Yeah, it's tough, and we missed some timely ones too. We've had our free throw difficulties at times this year, and I think we have a lot of guys that, we track all the free throw shooting in practice, and when the guys get extra shots, that I think are better free throw shooters than that. But ultimately, especially when you get this late in the year, whatever your free throw percentage is, it's kind of what you are. So we have to get better at it. We've got to coach it better. We've got to, relax and step up to the foul line and shoot it. I have confidence in those guys shooting them. But, yeah, 11 for 22 from the free throw line, 4 for 22 from the three-point line. And then, our finishing percentage around the basket was decent, but it felt like the ones we left on the table were really, really big.
You just talked about it, 4 from 22 from downtown with that 18%. There's been times this year in certain halves, Wisconsin comes to mind, where you guys struggled from deep. At this point in the season, how are you able to overcome that and figure out, well, our threes aren't falling, how are we going to score?
I think it's a matter of the spirit and energy of the team. This game, like I said, we haven't had a game like this in a while, where I thought, we started the game relatively well. I think we were up 8-4, defending really well. And then DePaul did a good job making things challenging, on our offensive end. And we did not respond great in terms of our spirit and our energy. And that snowballs on you. I tell the guys all the time, everything has to start with that, lead with that. If you don't, you're not going to be in position to jump up and make the shot, because there's just something that's not quite where it needs to be, and it can be contagious. So I like a lot of the looks that we got from outside. Those are shots that we've knocked down in some recent games, but, they didn't go in, and we have to find a better way, find another way. Offensive rebounding, once again, they outplayed us there, and that was a difference as well.
Shaka, you mentioned how they went to Benson a couple times down the stretch. He had 10 points, but those 16 rebounds, just what do you think made him so difficult to deal with today for you guys?
His defensive rebounds, were, obviously correlated with a lot of our misses, but the 5 offensive rebounds he got were huge. He's got long arms. He wedges his way in there. There was a few that he outworked us for. He's a good player. If you told me that Benson, Blocker, and Gunn, they're 3 best players, although Macklin is playing as well as anyone on their team. But if you told me those 3 guys, would be significantly below their averages, I would take that. But, again, we scored 14 points in the first half, so it puts a ton of pressure on. We have to defend and rebound even better in a game like that.
Shaka, at this point of the year, you're used to competing for a Big East title or getting ready for the big dance. It's looking a little bit different this season. What are you looking for out of your guys down these last few games, and what are you hoping to get from them?
Yeah, we've been talking a lot for the last several weeks about just growing to the point where we could be at our best going into the Big East tournament. We have a lot of evidence of that. Today doesn't feel like it, so I guess you can look at that 2 different ways, as a coach or as a player, as a fan. I choose to, just because of the way I am and what our guys need, I choose to see the things that our guys can do, and the areas where they've made growth. But again, as I mentioned, the spirit and energy of our team has to be right in order to access all those things. So that'll be, something that we will continue to work on and help guys with. But where we are, as we hit, like everyone else, heading into the last week, we've got 2 games to play. We're excited about, those opportunities. Yeah, you're right. It's a different feeling, but it's my job to help prepare our guys and help keep pushing them to move forward. And every time we take the floor, we have a chance to win. And that's, if you can't get excited about that as a coach or player, then there's something wrong with you. So we're going to go after preparing to be our best in our next game. Obviously, with the quick turnaround, we might not be able to do quite as much physically as if we had more time, but it's more about mentally getting the guys, reconnected and getting their minds clear around what we have to do offensively and defensively to be our best.
Chase was playing in the big shoulder harness. Just what did it take to get him to play? And it obviously affects him somewhat, but how do you think it affected him?
Well, Ben, I'll say this, because if we would have won the game, I would have been screaming this from the top of a mountain. The kid is such a warrior. His shoulder came out in the Georgetown game. If you ask anyone that's done that before, matter of days later, there's an extreme level of pain when you try to do this. He's left-handed. It's his left shoulder. He did not practice yesterday. He did not practice the day before. He wasn't even really shooting, so I didn't know if he was going to play as of this morning. But he really has a level of physical toughness about him that is special. And Ben Gold's ability to fight through what he's going through with his ankle is impressive as well. So again, it's something that I would praise the heck out of if we won. So it'd be hypocritical to not say it in a loss.